Good morning. You listen to FloorDaily.net, and I'm Kemp Harr. This morning, my guest is Charlie Dilks, the Chief Product Officer with CCA Global. Charlie, how you doing?
I'm well, Kemp.
I actually wanted to talk to you about another hat you wear. You're chairman of the board of the Floor Covering Industry Foundation, which goes by FCIF, and thought maybe the two of us could help raise awareness about this organization. So we'll get to that in just a minute. But back to your day job, tell us what's going on at retail.
I'd say this year is going to end up sort of a tale of 2 years. I think the first half was pretty good for CCA. Benchmarking ourselves against some of the public numbers that we've seen in the last few weeks that have been reported, we feel pretty good about the first half of the year. I still think the pipeline was a lot fuller than maybe what we anticipated coming out of calendar year 21 into 22. We got the benefit of that in the first half. The second half, we've definitely seen some slowdown in terms of, traffic in the stores, number of transactions, even the average ticket value has come down a little bit. But, we're fortunate our members participate in a number of categories. So commercial's good. That's no secret. I think builder will continue to be good through the balance of this year. Next year might be a little bit of a challenge, but residential replacement is definitely trending down. But in saying that, the volume is still extremely high. If you compare it to 19 or 18, say, the last two normal years, quote unquote, that we went through. So we're pretty satisfied with the volume levels that we're experiencing, albeit I think we'll see a little bit of a decline in residential retail in the back half of this year that we're currently in.
Yeah, we're coming off a huge year. 21 was a strong year. Your growth numbers, I'm sure, were in the 18 to 20% range. And now what? I'm not putting words in your mouth, but you look at maybe 4% growth. There's still going to be growth for the year. It's just not what it was, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And we'll be a little bit higher than that. I don't mind admitting to that. And I don't know where we'll end the year ultimately, but I think we'll be a little higher than 4%. I'm hopeful we will be. I think next year is just going to be a difficult year to predict. The last 2.5 years have been somewhat crazy, unprecedented, whatever adjective you want to apply. But I don't know that anyone I've spoken to, as we get into budget planning seasons, I don't know anyone that confidently is able to tell me or even tell themselves or their companies what they think next year is going to be like. So I think it'll be an interesting year.
It was good to hear the ITR economics guy at your meeting just a few weeks ago that, classically defined, we're in a little bit of an economic dip here, but he doesn't expect it to last a long time. So hopefully he's right.
Yeah, I hope he is. That's just one opinion. I listen to him, and I'm a bit of a junkie when it comes to financial news. So I listen to CNBC a lot, and it seems like every second day there's somebody that's, contradicting the guy that was on the day before with respect to the recession and what we've got in the future. So, but I'm optimistic. I think our industry is pretty healthy right now. Our members are extremely healthy right now, and I think we're going to be fine.
All right, let's go back to FCIF. You're the chairman of the board, and it's a pretty healthy board. We have representation from manufacturers, distributors, retailers. This is a philanthropic organization that's unique. The flooring industry takes care of their own. If you've been in the business for 5 years or more and you have an incident and you need financial help, you can file for a grant and goes through a review, and there's a possibility we can help you out, right?
That's true. And the board, to your earlier comment, I think there's about 31 people on the board. Our bylaws allow for 35 board members. And that sounds like a pretty large board, and it is, but it definitely brings some diversity. You left off the media, which we've got several media members on our board, including yourself, Kemp. But I think the diversity really allows the word and the good work of the FCIF to get out there. As you say, we've got distributors, manufacturers, retailers, and what we've seen. Albeit most of the grants that we've given out over the last, let's say, 3-year period, a lot of them predominantly are down in Northwest Georgia, which, where a lot of the manufacturing is obviously centered for our industry. But we're now starting to see grant applications come from outside that area, from retailers on the West Coast, on the East Coast. And that's really a result of the board and the word getting out and the help that we get from media outlets like yours, Kemp, to get the word out there. We want more people to be aware. We want more people to ask the FCIF for help. And we're starting to see that, and certainly some geographical diversity and diversity of grant applicants as well in the last 3 years.
Yeah, I think some people at one time thought that you had to be working in a mill, and that's not the case. Just to back up for a minute and a little broader view, there's only 2 other similar organizations. The Major League Baseball and the Screen Actors Guild have something similar to this. And I mean, it was very visionary back in 1981, 41 years ago, that several people said we should start this and do this. And the money's raised through a golf tournament, just through these big companies that said they're going to stroke a check. A company ran an ad in Florida Focus. We're celebrating a big anniversary. And they said, on your behalf, we're going to give $1,000 to the FCIF. So, I mean, it's funded by us, and it helps the folks that work in this industry in their time of need. It's kind of along the saying of it takes a village. Again, it's pretty simple. All you got to do is go to FCIF.org, and the grant application is accessible right there, I believe.
Correct. And I think going back, as you mentioned, 41 years ago, and we had people like Larry Nagel and Al Wannon, I think Harry Saul, and I'm probably missing a couple. I mean, they had that vision back at the time. I think, Alan Greenberg and Howard Brodsky got involved, I'm going to say, about 20 years ago now, and really reinvigorated, the whole effort out there. But the donations, yes, CCA hosts a golf tournament. That's coming up in the middle of September. We had, almost a year ago, October of 21, we had a gala in New York, and that was extremely successful. I think we had a couple of hundred people attend that. But our industry partners, a lot of the manufacturing companies donate, but we also get a lot of individual donations, and we get a lot of golf tournaments that are arranged at the local level, and every dollar obviously helps. Right now we're fine. We're completely sustainable in terms of the amount of money that we raise every year and that we grant out. But as the foundation's reach grows, as I mentioned earlier, we're always going to need more money. So any support that we can get, and again, you can go to FCIF.org and donate there. Any support we can get is needed, and it's so appreciated by the board and by the grant recipients in particular.
Yeah, I think several years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, you hired a full-time person, Andrea Blackburn, to run the day-to-day of this, and she's doing a fantastic job. And some of the things that I'm finding out is that not only is there some money here available for anybody that needs it, that qualifies, but she can help you if you've got an electric bill that needs to get taken care of. I mean, she's hands-on and with much more help than just financial, I'm hearing.
Yeah, she's a one-man show. So, I mean, she does spread the word, particularly in Northwest Georgia. That's where she's located. She does process with some outside help all the grant applications and distributes them to a committee that we have that approves the grants ultimately. This foundation does a lot with very little resources, and the WFCA also lends a hand. So it's as you mentioned earlier, it's for our industry. It's run by our industry. The money all comes from our industry. The grant recipients are all from the industry, and there's only 2 other that I know of that you mentioned. It's just a great cause all around, and everyone in our industry should really feel good that the foundation exists, to help their employees and to help other people that they know in our industry that need the help.
All right, Charlie, well, it's good to catch up with you, and thanks for spending time with the listeners. Again, been talking to Charlie Dilks, the chairman of the board of the FCIF and also chief product officer of CCA Global, and you've been listening to Kemp Harr and FloorDaily.net.